excited to be here. Thank you all so much for joining this preview of Rogers the Musical and the special panel discussion with the creators. Before we get started with questions, I want to first say hello and thank you to the Disneyland Resort cast members. Let's hear it! All right. The Disneyland Resort Salertberg, or Business Employee Research Group, which includes cast members with strong connections to the armed services and supportive allies. Yeah. Plus all of the creators and the members of the media for joining us in the audience today. Yeah? What did you guys think of the show? Well, I have a confession to make. I am just as big a musical theater geek as I am a comics geek, so this totally hits the sweet spot for me. And we are really excited to have you all participate in this special panel discussion. Just want to let you know all the questions that we're going to be answering have come from members of the media in the audience. And we are so lucky to have some of the creative minds that put this show together here. So without further ado, let me introduce them to you. Book writer Hunter Bell, who was nominated for a Tony Award for Best Book of Musical for his work on the Broadway production Title of Show, and we've got some musical theater fans here, and previously collaborated with Disney Live Entertainment on the musical comedy Villains Tonight for Disney Cruise Line.
From villains to superheroes.
Next, we have Christopher Lennertz, whose other credits include writing music for films, the Agent Carter TV series, and other Disney Live Entertainment collaborations, Wondrous Journeys, the nighttime spectacular, created for the Disney 100 celebration. Now gosh, if only I had a time stone and could take us back to where we, I do. All right, I was about to introduce you to our fantastic choreographer, Sarah Kobayashi. She's a choreographer at Disney Live Entertainment, whose 25-year career at Disneyland has included, among other accomplishments, choreographing the Magic Happens parade at Disneyland. And then we've got Dan Fields, Executive Creative Director with Disney Live Entertainment, who has responsibility for Disney's global portfolio of Avengers and other superhero-related entertainment productions. And Dave Bushore, Vice President of Franchise Creative and Marketing with Marvel Studios, who collaborates closely with partners at Disney Live Entertainment and Walt Disney Imagineering to help bring these stories to life at the Disney parks. All right, so let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. Thank you, musical theater fans. All right, what is the backstory for Rogers the Musical? Tell us about the origin story.
Dan, you, me? Okay. There was an idea. No. It really was born out of, I think, when we saw Hawkeye, everyone saw the Save the City number and knew instantly that it was something special. And as usual, I talk to Dan all the time, and we work with the WDI team really closely, so we're always saying, I got an idea. Well, when we saw the Rogers, the Save the City from Hawkeye, it was definitely on everyone's radar, and then it was a normal collaborative effort of, hey, we got to talk about this, right? And Dan saw it, and we talked more about it, and then worked with the teams, and that was, it was pretty natural.
Yeah, we were like every fan. We saw that and said, I want to see the rest of it. I want to see all of Rogers the Musical. But then we realized, hey, we're Disney Live Entertainment. We can do that. So that's what we set out to do. We pulled down this amazing team of collaborators, as well as many other collaborators who are behind the scenes in the dark today to make it come to life.
Well, as we like to say about this particular group of superheroes, it's all connected. And one of the things that Disney Live Entertainment does so well is connect fans with what's happening on a screen to what's happening here at the resort. So once the idea to bring Rogers the Musical to life got support, what were the next steps?
Putting together the right collaborators. So we really leaned into the musical theater aspect of it. Stagecraft, theater, a venue like this, the scenic design, the costumes, everything to make it all come to life. I'm going to talk a little bit about those with our collaborators right now.
All right, so let's start with story. You packed so much story into 30 minutes with so much to pull from, comics, screen. How did you decide what to focus on?
Well, I give a shout out and credit to Jordan Peterson, our amazing director and conceiver. Jordan laid this incredible foundation, and we just got to kind of jump on Zoom calls and get together and build this. But yeah, there's a lot to cover, and like the Star Kids say, in 30 minutes or less. But luckily it was called Rogers the Musical on Hawkeye, and so that let us know we're going to focus on Steve, and we're going to focus on Cap, and great love stories make great musicals. So much great musical theater is based on a love story. So when we kind of honed in, even while Cap is having all these adventures in all the films, there's a compass and there's Peggy. And so when we kind of honed in on that love story and on Cap and Peggy, I think that kind of sealed the deal. And even with older Steve at the end of the line there too. So yeah, a lot to fit in half an hour, and I think we did a pretty good job.
Woohoo! All right, well, our next question is from a musical theater fan. In musicals, the songs not only entertain us, but they're also a key part of the storytelling. So, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about putting the songs together and the songs on the show?
Absolutely. I think, I've heard a lot of times that people say that you need to get to the point where the emotion is so strong that that talking won't work anymore, and you actually need to sing it. And that's where like the love story comes in. That's where the I Want comes in with young Steve, and that's why he was the perfect person to make this story about, because everyone's been that point where they've gotten to the point where they have to do the next step to follow their dream, and that was where that was. But when we first started, Jordan had all these amazing lyrics, and End the Line was the first song we wrote, and it was very easy to then look back and say you've got old Cap and current Cap talking, singing to each other, and following that story, we went back to the beginning and said, how do we get there? How do we then, start from the beginning and get there? And then, of course, at that point, then we move ahead to the Peggy story and go. But I think the other thing that was really important to all of us, Jordan and Hunter and I, was to give everyone, both musical theater fans and superhero fans, something they would love about the music. And the fact that we get to span 70 years and do everything from 40s style big band jazz to a singer-songwriter style, pop tune, and obviously the Nick Fury, patter song meets Uptown Funk, whatever that was, whatever. It's the idea of giving everyone something that they can grab onto and really feel like it's part of their story too.
Absolutely. Now, Sarah, you had a similar challenge moving through the decades, and I've talked a lot on the red carpet with actors and fight choreographers about how fight choreography is a lot like dancing. You had the flip challenge of going from dance that would echo action. Can you talk about that?
So for me, the story was the biggest inspiration for any choreography I came up with. When Jordan Peterson brought me on the project, I was just thrilled because I'm an Avengers fan, but also because I'm a Jordan Peterson fan. So it's true. That's my happy place. Like, I can watch the movies over and over and with my son, and so finding movement that makes sense in a musical makes sense to the Avengers and their characters and their humanity at times and their superhero moments. It was just a delight. So, and then I think finding places where it really explains where you are in time, right? But also time travel, as you know, we're back here, time travel. So it's amazing to find things that you can put in and change genres and change different movement styles and really bring that all together, but still it makes sense if you love the Avengers, if you love musical theater, or if you just want some fun entertainment. I think there's something for everybody, just as Chris said.
There absolutely is. And another question we have is about production design elements. Maybe we've talked book, music, choreography. This show is so full. Can you talk about the other production elements?
Yeah, sure. When we first began talking about the show, we knew that we had Save the City as a place to start, and there's a particular production design then. So we used that as our inspiration for how to embrace all of the elements, from the cinematic universe to the comic books, and find inspiration even going back to the 40s. That also led the amazing Disneyland costuming team here to design costumes that took us through and to all those different places. Really unique, they felt fresh but familiar. The media design that you see throughout the show is also inspired by those same kind of elements. So the creative team just really gelled together, riffing off the original inspiration that we started this conversation with.
Yeah, I would add to that I think what was great about working with Dan and team was when we had the initial conversation around production design, character, story, music, everything was bringing it back to that heart of Steve, right? And so that Save the City number is the inspiration for, cool, we're gonna do it like this. But when I saw the USO, for the first time, the stage set with the USO girls, and it was like, that's from the movie.
It really came alive.
Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, that's Steve Rogers' story come to life, right? And I was saying to Dan before the fire alarm went off that I was actually sitting in the audience thinking about watching the show from Hawkeye's perspective, right? So when you're watching Save the City from Hawkeye's perspective, it's very emotional in the show because he's like, that's my life, right? But if Steve Rogers were to sit in the audience today and watch this show, I have a feeling he would be like, that's a pretty great life, right? Like in the idea that, man, there's some heart, there's some music, Nick Fury sings, right? It's like, it's got a little bit of everything, and that's the heart of it, right? Which I think everyone did an amazing job. Congrats to everybody, including the cast. Unbelievable.
Also, Joe Kucharski's costume
Shout out to Joe.
Was a great shout out, and he has a personal connection with Captain America as well, and Casey Wilkerson on the media design. Just incredible talent here at Disneyland.
Well, I want to revisit, we got a question actually, you touched on this before. How did studios and Disney Live Entertainment collaborate to produce the show? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, we have such a tight working relationship anyways as it is. I mean, obviously with Avengers Campus and everything we do around the world, there's no end of opportunity for Marvel in the parks. So we're always talking about the next thing or big ideas or what we could do, and so it's very easy to do these types of things. It's not, but it's easy because the collaboration is so good, and because the cinematic universe can move in so many different ways. This doesn't seem like an outlier, right? Like it's like, that's amazing. What is that? That's amazing. I want that. Yeah. Give it to me now. And so it's easy to say, let's think big, let's do that, and that's just the relationship. So,
yeah. I also remember when the work that this team did, we took it to Kevin Feige to share with him for the first time, and I was a little nervous about telling him that Nick Fury sings.
I have to set this up. So Dan brings me the animatic, and we're watching it at WDI, and Nick Fury's singing, and I'm like, okay, interesting. What? And then we talked about it, and you explained it, and I went, okay, I get it, cool. And then we took it to Kevin, and we're sitting in Kevin's office, me and Dan. No.
And Kevin says, Nick Fury sings. That should be on the billboard. He said, embrace that, lean into that. So that kind of trust between the studio and the entertainment and engineering and this group of amazing consultants and collaborators, that's where that energy comes, and we get to create something new.
Well, one of the hallmarks of the show is there's so much humor, and some of that comes from the form of the Easter eggs throughout the show. We've got questions from the audience asking you to talk about the Easter eggs. So, if you want to start from the music.
My favorite, actually, shout out to Casey, and the video content are in Times Square, the billboards, and so you're just gonna have to come back several times and pick a moment, and I'm not gonna spoil alert them, but there's great billboards on there. One of my favorite things too are, I don't even know if they're Easter eggs, but lyrically, what they've done with Chris and Jordan, after like just one snap, it rearranged, and it's those things that, fans like me and everyone are like, oh, yes, that's in the lyrics too. And then throughout all what you missed too, just, I don't know if they're that even buried, but just as each superhero is named and name checked too, I just love hearing the audience like, woo, yes, woo.
Yeah, we definitely have to give a huge shout out to where this all came from. Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, their song obviously from Hawkeye, started that, with talking about get shawarma when we're done and all that stuff. It was just absolutely brilliant. And that really gave us the permission, and what Dave Zippel and Alan Menken did from First Avenger, obviously that was all a big inspiration. But then we took that, and Jordan and Alex Karukas and myself, and we said, well, how much can we pack into a really fast patter song by Nick Fury, and you know, to be able to get in there and rhyme, you know, raccoon in a talking tree and all that kind of stuff. It's really kind of fun, and we're hoping that we can run with that and see how much that catches on with fans and how much they can find when they really scour the lyrics.
My favorite Easter egg is when you come and watch a show, just watch Thor. He's amazing. Just watch Thor in the background. I mean, everyone is amazing. Actually, Hunter pointed something out about one of the other cast members. That was amazing, but Thor's amazing. Hunter, what was it we're going to say?
He takes a selfie. The citizen takes a selfie with Thor, and I just noticed it the other day in a ride. I was like, yeah, I want a selfie with Thor too. Absolutely.
We've got one question about the humor in the show. One of the things that this story shares with the films is a great sense of humor. We mentioned that, and riffing on some of the personas that we've seen on screen, like Nick Fury. So can you share a bit about how you found those humorous moments as the show is being put on its feet?
The inspiration comes from the films, and I think there's such heart. The films are clever. There's always, even after a catastrophic moment, when they're together, our superheroes have a connection or a raised eyebrow, and it just speaks to the humanity involved next to their superpowers too. But also it's musical comedy and it's musical theater, and so we're kind of amping that up, just turning up the dial a little bit and heightening it, you know, for even you know, the Doctor with Erskine too. You kind of play it a little musical comedy, and because it's joyous and it's fun, so you're all heightened because people are singing and dancing. I think it allows for the spoken word and the lyrics to have a sense of humor as well, and joy that fans want, you know.
Absolutely. Well, as they say, I could do this all day, but we do have another show to get ready for. So one last question for Dan, which is, as you think about the show, there's so many things in it. Who ultimately, what do you hope audiences take away when they come see Rogers the Musical?
You know, for a lot of people who come to our parks, they may not have had a lot of experiences coming to theater, to traditional theater, but here's an opportunity to combine a love of theater with a love of superheroes right here in a theme park. So we hope that this is a takeaway, that this is a real show for families, whether you already knew the story of Steve Rogers or not. So hopefully everyone's found something to enjoy in the show.
Well, I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank all of you for coming back. I want to thank all of our panelists and for this amazing show. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining us for this performance. Please remember to gather your belongings and exit the theater through the doors to your right. And come back and see us again sometime. We'll make way for tomorrow, today.